Hey guys, I am Game Advisor and welcome back to another Back 4 Blood video. Yes, we do make content in other games if you are curious, but today we're going to be talking about a sniper build for Back 4 Blood. This can be used in Nightmare mode, however I do encourage you to change it to your playstyle, especially when you're using that higher difficulty. This is more so aimed at veteran players or players just starting to work their way into Nightmare mode that need somewhere to start. Again, I do recommend that you switch the build to your playstyle, but for me, this is what has worked so far. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alrighty, the two most crucial cards to this build are going to be Admin Reload and Cocky. Admin Reload, if you didn't already know by now, makes it so that when you stow your weapon, it starts to automatically reload. This is extremely useful for weapons with low amounts of ammo, so it's something we're going to be using in this build. After that, we have Cocky, which will just cause us to switch our weapons faster. Since we're not really hip firing in this build, we really don't care too much about accuracy, so that 20% penalty really isn't that much of a hindrance. Moving on is arguably one of the best cards in the game, which is Heavy Hitter. If you didn't already know, Heavy Hitter makes it so that your fists start to one-shot zombies. This is incredibly powerful and useful right now, especially when you're playing something with a non-automatic weapon, so you're not able to clear hordes easily. All you have to do is swing at their heads one time and boom, they are gone. This is a very powerful card and I recommend you take it in every build, not just in the sniper build. Next is Stock Pouch, which is going to give us 30% additional ammo. Even though it's really not that big of a deal with most snipers, it's still nice to have. It also gives us 10% damage increase with snipers as well, and since that's our main damage type, that's something we're going to want. After that is Silver Bullets. Silver Bullets is going to give you 10% increased bullet damage. Do keep in mind this is separate from the Stock Pouch damage type. They are two different things and they stack separately. So the way the game works is it's going to multiply your damage from the Stock Pouch and then multiply your Silver Bullets damage and then put them together, rather than multiplying them as one single number. It's a whole complicated mess, but just know we are going to make a video on this in the future, so make sure to subscribe if that's something you want to know a little bit more about, and how the in-depth parts of the game and the mechanics work when it comes to doing damage. After that is Run Like Hell. Run Like Hell will give you 15% increased move speed, however when you take damage your accuracy is going to be reduced. Since we really again don't care too much about accuracy with this build, it's not that big of an issue. 15% move speed is incredibly powerful. It allows you to dodge specials, get away from hordes, all sorts of useful and vitally important things. That's why we're taking Run Like Hell, because it is just such a powerful card no matter what difficulty you're playing on, but especially when you're playing on things like Nightmare. Already, we're almost halfway there with Breakout. Breakout is again a very useful card for just about any deck, and you could even run it further up if that's something you want to do. What Breakout does is it just allows you to hold E to get out of any grabs. This includes just about anything that roots you in place or stuns you, so I highly recommend you take Breakout as it is an incredibly powerful and useful card. Next is Patient Hunter. Patient Hunter, since we're going to be basically always ADSing, is going to give us 10% damage for every second we're aimed down sights. This stacks up to 3 times, giving us a total of 30% damage increase simply by using this card. Next is Reckless Strategy. This is 30% weak spot damage, and since we're running a Nightmare build and we want to kill specials quickly, hopefully you have at least some decent aim and are able to hit those weak spots. Number 10 is Large Caliber Rounds. This is just another bullet damage increase, which again is extremely powerful. It is hard to go in depth here about how this works, just know that bullet damage is a very powerful multiplier. Now our last 5 cards on the list here are really our optional cards that you could switch out for other things, put different things higher up in your list in this deck. It really depends on how you play and what you like. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Our first optional card is going to be Knowledge is Power. This is going to give you 10% more weak spot damage and allow you to see the values of damage you do, which really isn't that big of a deal, but more importantly allows you to see enemy health bars. When dealing with bosses and dealing with all sorts of different enemies such as specials, being able to see health bars tends to make things significantly easier. It'll let you know, hey, should I just keep burning this guy or do I need to run away and dodge his abilities? After that is Wide Mouth Magwell. That's going to give you 30% reload speed. If you didn't already know, reload speed essentially equates to a flat 30% DPS increase. However, with snipers, if you're running a bolt action sniper, it is even more useful. The reason this is because whenever you're cocking back for the next bullet, that reload speed is going to increase how fast you can put the next one in the chamber. If you're running a semi-automatic weapon, it really doesn't make too much of a difference. Now, again, if you're going to be running the Barrett or you're going to be running the Phoenix, Phoenix, I highly recommend you take even more reload speed than this in your build and you take it earlier on because it is incredibly valuable and important. But since we have admin reload and cocky, it does lose a little bit of value since we're not going to be reloading our weapons the normal way. After that is Cross Trainers, a very valuable card. It just gives us 3% move speed, 5 health, 20% stamina, and 20% stamina regen. There's really no downside to it. Again, having more stamina, being able to run further, punch more zombies is always a useful thing to have, which is why we're running it in this build. Next is Superior Cardio. Superior Cardio is going to give us 20% stamina, 20% sprint efficiency, and plus 5 health. Again, another optional card here. You do not have to take this. This card is just going to make it even easier for you to get away from zombies before you run out of stamina, especially when you've already been punching them. I like this card personally with this build as I find myself constantly needing to dodge hordes or dodge specials. So for me, I think it's a good card to have, but for you and your playstyle and the team you're playing with, that may not be too much of a concern, so it just may not be as useful for you. Finally is Hyper Focused. This gives us 50% weak spot damage at the cost of negative 75% ADS move speed. However, if we are constantly zooming in and firing and then doing the little cockback animations or things like that whenever we're not firing, this can be very useful. The downside again is that ADS move speed, and since we're ADS'd a lot in this build, it is arguable whether or not we should take it. Now 50% weak spot damage is a huge increase to your damage, so I do understand why people will want it, and at the end of the day, it's got to be up to you and your playstyle and what weapons you're running. Personally, if I'm running a bolt action weapon as my primary, then this tends to be more attractive to me as a card and I will be more likely to play it. If I'm running a semi-automatic weapon as my primary and I'm constantly ADS'd in pretty much all the time, I may not want to run this quite as much. Now, personally, I recommend you run Jim if you have a good team. If you don't have a good team, however, there are a lot of other options out there. The reason Jim is so good with a good team is because if you can keep the hordes off of yourself, you can get a high stacking damage DPS increase with up to 25%. And 25% damage increase is nothing to laugh at. On top of that, you have a 25% aim down sight speed, which is incredibly useful considering that is pretty much the only thing we're going to be doing is using our ADS in most builds. Finally, he also gives your whole team 10% weak spot damage, and that does include yourself, so it is incredibly useful when running this build. At the end of the day, it's your choice whether or not you want to run this cleaner, but it is just my personal preference to take him when I have a good team that is doing a good job at keeping the main hordes of zombies off of me so I can focus on the specials and put out tons and tons of damage. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Game Advisor. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more Back 4 Blood content as we put out quite a bit of it. We do also make extra content on a bunch of different things such as reviews for new games as well as older ones, and we do talk about a lot of zombie related games, so if you're into that kind of thing, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.